Hello, everyone. Learning and development strategy. This is what we are going to discuss today. We will dissect everything that is under the sky of resource development. We need to understand the aims, the objectives, basically the philosophy of learning and development. We need to understand what are the pillars and the forces of the strategic HRD, give you a brief overview, a bird's eye view of the elements of human resource development. We'll talk about learning culture, organization learning, and learning organization. These are three different distinct concepts that every one of us should be aware of it. And definitely, we'll evaluate the tensions between the control and the development of human resource development. Yes, the employee is the crux of this particular presentation on, and the stress would be equally stated upon the individual learning. I am sure that most of you are able to understand it with this next 15-20 minutes of a presentation that we'll be taking around it. So let us discuss what exactly strategic human resource development. Strategic human resource development, according to I'll be giving you around four definitions, right? Of which my favorite would be Hamels and Prasad, which has been given out here. If you look into it, way back in 1994, stated employees are key players contributing to the core competency of the organization. Remember, in my previous slide, I said about it that employee is the crux to the presentation altogether, and their individual learning is all we are interested in. But then, of recent 2005, Leopold told us, should I say, harnessing the talents, the capabilities of employees is a significant managerial activity. So basically, grooming them and making them, contributing them, making them a part of the organization strategy is all about that. So basically, harnessing them, culturing, nurturing them, culturing the talents and the capabilities around it. Walton, again in 1999, at the turn of this particular century, stated strategic human resource development involves introducing, eliminating, modifying, directing, and guiding process in such a way that all individuals and teams are equipped with the skills, the knowledge, and the competencies. Remember, skills, knowledge, and the competencies they require to undertake for current, existing, that is, and future, that would be in some near time tasks required by the organization. So basically, it is about all about present and looking into the future. And basically, according to Walton, it is grooming them for newer aspect in which the organization is going to take shape in. Takes a broad and a long-term view. That is what Armstrong told in 2006. It's a forward-looking concept that we are talking around it. In just, it is the forward-looking concept wherein the employee is the focal point. I hope all of you are aware of this thing. The four definitions that I've just brought forward to you is to point down only to one particular employee and the future aspirations of the organization. So, strategic HRD, according to Armstrong in 2006, stated the aim is to produce a framework for developing people through creating a learning culture and formulating organizational and individual learning strategies. So, what are the objectives as per Armstrong would be? Probably to enhance resources capabilities, and we are talking only in terms of employees, to develop the intellectual capacity or the capital of the organization. So, basically, we are looking at enriching employees to ensure the right quality of people available to meet the current and future needs. I have already stated or stressed upon the future looking objectives of the organization that we are looking into. It is basically forward looking to provide an environment which encourages learning and development, to consider individual aspirations and needs, to increase employability. So basically, what do you understand out here? It is all about employability. The term is all about employability, and you should be relevant to it. All of us has to be relevant. So I might have the requisite skills, I might have the requisite knowledge probably as of today, but these might become obsolete tomorrow or day after. So we need to upgrade ourselves continuously, and that is what the learning development would be all about it. So philosophy underpinning HRD, making a major contribution to the successful achievement of the organization objective. So basically giving substantial inputs for the success. it actually benefits all the stakeholders. When I say stakeholder, that means if employees are giving 100%, the customer is getting a quality product, the customer is getting a quality services, the shareholders are getting rich dividend. Why? Because the profit line is big and fat. So we understand all everybody gets benefited, should be integrated with and support the business and human resource strategies. Definitely yes, should be performance related, performance oriented. At the end of the day, we keep on saying no lunch is free, should involve everyone, right? So, what is it? It should be inclusive in nature. It should not be obsoleting someone or probably sidelining a person altogether. So, individual learning based on PDP, self managed learning, supported by coaching and mentoring, and formal training. Organizations should invest in learning and development, but prime responsibility rests actually onto the individual. If you are not self-motivated, if you do not take care good of yourself, probably how will you contribute towards the organization? Is one thing that we need to understand. So elements. I said we will talk about the elements. It's a relatively permanent change in behavior. Remember, is micro change and definitely a sequential change in behavior that comes out. It's basically incremental in nature as a result of practice and experience. This was stated way back in 1966, which is Bass and Vegan. So every company would have its own ethos, own culture, training, planning, and systematic modification of behaviors through learning events, programs, and instruction that enables individuals to achieve the level of knowledge, skill, competence needed to carry the work effectively. Again, this was stated in Armstrong 2006. Focuses on immediate change of the job performances. Immediate changes. I'm looking at an immediate change, and I'm looking forward looking also. For forward changes, I'm looking at a incremental changes on a daily basis in terms of my job performance is all about it. We come now to development, the growth or realization of a person ability and the potential to the provisions of learning and educational experiences stated in 2006 by Armstrong. Definitely it's a long term improvement in the individual. It's basically the term right now used being used is capacity building. Remember, capacity building, it can be a technological oriented, but essential and human aspects are prevalent out there also. So what are the human aspects? Number one would be education. So development of knowledge, development of values, development of understanding required in all aspect of life, rather than knowledge skills related to a particular areas of activities. What Armstrong in 2006 stated. So geared towards intermediate changes in individual capabilities. So I have said it very early in my presentation. We will be talking about the learning organizations and what exactly has been meant by learning culture. So learning is recognized by everyone in the organization as essential. Everyone is committed to. Everyone is engaged in learning emphasis. Basically, it is nothing but discretionary learning. It is nothing but empowerment. It is nothing but self-managed learning. And remember, we are looking into the futures. It should be built on the futures and should always be durable and long-term. So essentially, four aspects: discretionary learning. So you need to keep on pick up the tricks of the trade as on when on basis, or probably pick up a newer tricks of a different trade altogether. It is all about empowerment. It is all about having the resources at your disposal. It is always having or manipulating the resources to get a better output. It is all about self-managed learning. Remember, the drive has to be from within the person, and it should be a long-term basis. So this act as a growth medium. And remember, 2004 Renault has stated it way back. So strategy according to 2004, as per Renault, we'll talk about it about a learning culture. So what is it all about? It is all about sharing our vision, learning, development. We'll be talking about empowering employees. Remember, the resources and the control over the resources is what empowerment is all about. And remember, empowerment is not about abuse of power. Empowerment is having the requisite knowledge, requisite resources at your disposal. Provides a supporting learning environment. Use coaching techniques. Definitely, yes, that helps you to improvise on your performances. Provides guidance, time, resources, and feedback. Manager acts as a role model, encourages network, communities of practices, aligns system to vision. Definitely. That is what we talk about it. Now comes the concept of organization learning. The other one which we were talking about was learning culture. So all organization learn, whether they do it consciously or not, but they learn eventually, including you and me. Way back in Kim stated in 1993. So organization learn whether they consciously choose to or not. So is this a viable assertion? People often ask. Allow me to answer this. Organization memory, stored information from an organization history that can be brought to bear at a present decision. Remember the pandemic that we are going around it, right? Around the globe. And people are comparing it with the Spanish flu, which was approximately a centuries back, and trying to draw parallels. Nothing else. This is a societal learning. Remember, centuries back, not a single individual of us, and should I say 99.99% of the population have never experienced such kind of pandemic in their lifespan. 99.99%. I'm giving 0.1% chances that any person who must have survive both this pandemic at all. Idea is we have drawn parallels, take a learning, and probably has curtailed the growth and the spread of the virus. Subsequently, probably we have cramped its growth, and we are emerging as a winner as of now. So basically, stored information from an organization history that can be brought to bear on present decision, which I stated right now. This information is stored as a consequences of implementing decision to which they refer by individual recollection and those shared interpretation. This is as per Walsh and Angson, 1991. So, is there any evidence of organization amnesia or memory loss? So, single and double loop learning, as far as Argyris is 1978, way back in 1992, Sky, 1981, Armstrong 2006. So single loop learning. So whenever an error is detected, you basically correct them without question, without referring back altogether. It's a single loop learning. It means you are moving away from the normal things. You detect an anomaly, revert back to its normal courses of things. It always helps on an everyday task, addresses the service symptoms of a problem, lower level reactive learning. Six Sigma is an example of an operational or single loop learning. Single loop learning organizations, what exactly they define? They define what is to be achieved, what is expected. Definitely, single loop learning monitors every growth, monitors every aspiration, monitors every achievement. They essentially take corrective action and when necessary. Remember, this is a very, very vital thing. But then let us come and bring forward to a newer concept, introduce you a new concept called double loop learning. Again, the same number of authors that we have been talking around it, we've been present with what is a single loop learning and a double loop learning. Double loop learning, when a mismatch is corrected by the first examining and alternating governing viables and then taking action definitely on a more complex reason. Ask the question why the problem arises. Tackle the root cause. So people are enough to think holistically and to challenge fundamental assumptions that undermine the organization system and procedures. Walton 1999. Loop, remember, double loop learning organization often learn something new about what is to be achieved in the light of change. So basically, double loop learning organization is in a vibrant environment, in a dynamic environment, dynamic circumstances, and which keeps on changing as on when on basis, and they need to adapt accordingly. So basically, they are adaptive, they are dynamic, and they're customer focused or centric, as I call it. Now, that was organizational learning. The first topic that I discussed was learning culture. Went to organization learning. Now, the concept of learning organization. Minute. I said I will be giving the differences altogether. In case you keep on forgetting, do keep on repeating this video on the loop and watch it time and again. So learning organization is concept stimulated by the end to be competitive in an environment characterized by uncertainty and change. Learning company facilitates the learning of all its members and continually transforming itself. This is as far as 1986 by Pedler. So a learning organization basically adapts to the context, adapts to the requirement of the people, and basically remember it matches the aspiration and matches its own weaknesses and strengths accordingly. So is a skilled at creating, skilled at creating and acquiring and transferring knowledge, and at modifying its behavior to reflect the new knowledge and insight. So, good at what? They are good at systematic problem solving, is what a learning organization is all about. They are good at experimentation. They might, remember, they might test market, they might have a pilot survey before launching the full campaign altogether, full product to the all the customers. Learning from past experiences is what we need to understand. We need to mitigate our past mistake and not repeat them again and again. Most of the intelligent organization would always learn from others. Remember, our intelligent organization would always learn from others, and unintelligent or a normal organization would be learning from their own mistakes. So definitely you need to learn from others. And last but not least, transferring knowledge, know-how quickly and efficiently throughout the organization, adapting to the full new change vibrancy in the environment altogether by Garvin at 1993. So that needs to be understood altogether. So, learning organization has a climate in which individual members are encouraged to learn, develop the full potential. Two hallmark of learning climates: the primary tasks of manager is to facilitate the learning of their staff. Mistakes are seen as an experiment that did not produce the right results. So, this is as per Pedler, which tells me in 1996. Now, extending learning cultures to include whom? We need to include a vendors, we need to include a suppliers, we need to understand the internal customer, we need to understand the external customer, and any stakeholder that is coming into the consideration. And even if it means we need to educate the government or the society at large. So make HRD strategies central to the business policy. Learning is a continuous process of organizational transformation rather than a set of discrete training activities. Mustang is a transformation rather than a set of discrete activities. It's basically embodying the body of knowledge of an organization, embodying the body of knowledge of a government, of the society, and so on and so forth. This is very much required. So, soft and hard approaches to HRD or resource development, we'll talk about it. We have the high control or the low development. I'll show you a graph in the subsequent slide, and it will become a much more clear things for you to understand. So, what is about high control? It is about high degree of fit between the training and the organization's requirement. Similarly, very high degree. Lack of investment in training and development, high control, low development. So you have a pocket which is completely sticked, pocket which is completely tweaked altogether. Low commitment to developing people, short term approach. High control, high development, high commitment to people working. Training is job related and located in workplace, driven by the needs of the business. Definitely, yes, it is job focused because there's a demand in the market. You require to be customer centric. So that is what is all about it. Because if you are not job centric, if you do not take care of your employees, if you do not invest in newer technologies, you cease to business altogether. Then comes low control. Remember, the control is very low, and high development. That means it is already in an automated system. So high commitment to developing people. Innovative training and development activities are encouraged. Training and development linked to organizational learning. So that is what is tell about it. It is been documented. It is been segmented. It is forward looking. It is the agility of the organization that makes the success. And the last, but not the least, would be neither high control nor high development. It means exactly low control and low development, individual commitment to training and development, little or no investment in training and development by the organization. Probably it is running on a need to know basis or on an ad hoc basis. It is a free flow that looks around it. These slide that I was discussing around here, you look at y-axis, we have marked the low control and higher control out here. Where is the development on the next axis out here? Now, if you go to it, we have four quadrant: low control, high development. We have the other quadrant, low development, high control. This is the quadrant. And then we have the high control, high development. This is the star quadrant that we talk around it, the star control. And this is the low control, low development is negative in nature. This is minus in nature, which I have already stated to you. I hope it is clearly notified. You are very clear around it. What happens between control and development? You should have A tight control, or should you have a tight development? Should you have no control, or should you have no development? Which one do you want to expose yourself to? Which one of the philosophy that you are quick to? We come to the next or the last basic topic around here. It would be individual learning strategies. Learning that is driven by the organization human resource requirement. What are they? They are skills and behavior required. What are they? They know that employees are the assets. The employees investment in them will pay rich dividend in future. Identifying how learning needs will be identified. Role of personality development program that goes to around it. Self-managed learning is very important. Support provided for learning development. Are there any incentives? Do you give incentives? Do you give extra payment? Do you give leaves for pursuing further education, for pursuing picking up new tricks of the trade, for exposing them for a newer workshop, seminar, conferences? Important. Remember, this is very vital. The organization develops the climate. The organization is responsible because at the end of the day, they will reap the benefit, which supports an effective and appropriate learning. Now, we'll talk about what exactly has been happening right now, as of now. Individual learning takes more responsibility for his or her own learning, and probably in developing economies this is what exactly has been done. So we are getting self-managed, self-motivated, and self-centric altogether. So individual learner takes the responsibility of educating himself or herself, the responsibility of equipping himself or herself with the newer technologies and newer learning. So learning becomes an individual activity. So basically, what does it mean? It becomes a trainee centered rather than being organizational centered. Earlier times it was organizational centered, and nowadays, why would people in certain organization would give them excellent training, but then employee leaves midway after getting the requisite training, requisite experience. So experiential learning is something which we all love to know. It's working on the learning on the job, working as you walk the chalk. Absolutely. Then comes the participative learning. It's a group learning process where there's a transfer of knowledge. As a group member, we look into it. Flexible training programs, trainee work at their own pace, absolutely, be it on a very fast pace or you complete a module in a week's time, in a month's time, in a quarter's time. It is up to you. You determine your pace, you determine your growth. So, flexible training program. And last but not least, with the advent of these pandemic that we have come to it, blended learning has come to stay. It's basically a mix of any approaches which suits the individual learning needs, learning style, work life situation, absolutely anything that suits the individual. So it's basically learning altogether. And then we have this something called continuous development. Many organizations have this philosophy of continuous development. In fact, personally speaking, any successful person would always have this philosophy of continuous development, picking up new tricks, picking up new things every now and then. Learning should be seen as continuous process. Less emphasis on formal instruction. Self-managed or self-directed learning encouraged. Personal development plans may be an important part of the learning process, as I keep on saying around it. Personal development plans, you that individual goals has to mix and manage the organizational goal, and they should be married to one another. The organizational goal and the goals. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching my videos.